had someone tell me that middle grade authors are sort of like middle school kids, whereas YA authors are very much like high school kids. So you get like cliques with YA authors and stuff, and middle grade are just like throwing things at each other and like completely immature. So that fits. I'm basically a 12-year-old boy, like mentally and maturity wise.
Is Story Thieves considered young adult, or is that one's middle grade also, right?
Yep. They are all, I even wrote a copy. Yeah, they're all, I didn't realize this when my first series was called Half Upon a Time. And those characters are all like 15 and 16 because I didn't know there was a difference between YA and middle grade. And at that time, my editor was like, no, it's just middle grade where like, you don't need to change anything. We're just going to like, make sure that there's no, at the time she was like, there's no kissing or anything. That's very much changed, I guess. But yeah, and then after that, I guess Barnes and Noble sort of made some sort of declaration that middle grade had to have characters that were 12 or under. So every one of my characters has been 12 ever since. And otherwise, I haven't really changed much in terms of how I'd write. Yeah, it's just sort of, it's a weird distinction, but I know as like a 12-year-old myself, or even as an 8-year-old, I was reading, that was in the 80s. So there wasn't like necessarily a lot of books geared for people who sort of wanted to delve into like harder books, but not find things like, I don't know how old you are, but if you've ever read Piers Anthony,
Oh, sure.
like some of the stuff in there is probably not great for kids. And I just read it, I blew through his series as a kid, having no problems with any of it. So yeah, I just got into all this like more adult kind of fantasy and stuff. And it was all fine. Like I didn't warp my, well, as far as I know, I didn't warp my brain. It was just funny, yeah.
Content was what made me such a loyal reader of Piers Anthony at the time, because like I knew sooner or later there was going to be a sex scene. He never left that out. Well, thank you, Mr. Anthony.
Mm-hmm. And it's he was one of the authors I wrote to as a kid, and it was like, hey, I don't remember how old I was, probably like 10. And I was like, please write back. And he wrote back like exactly as I would have hoped. I'm sorry, I don't know how to write back. I can only write forwards. And then he like answered a bunch of my questions, and it was just adorable. It was such a nice experience. Like it was like a handwritten note. It was beautiful. And it meant so much to me that it's like, I make sure to write back to everybody I can, just because I know how much that meant to me. And I would never put myself in, I don't know, it's hard to see myself as him in this situation, but it definitely feels like I owe any of my readers that, regardless of whatever happened to me as a kid. But like, it just seems like if that small a thing can like make such an impact, it's always something you got to do.